Hello everyone, this is Greg. Well, welcome to the stream. And it seems my stream deck has kind of gone a bit off. I think there's like an update or something that kind of like broke everything. So maybe is there like a way to reload things? So hi. Sorry, I'm a bit late. Had to like get some business out of the way first. And also get a bit of the Steam Deck not working. I don't know, like there's supposed to be like a way to restart it somehow. But yeah, anyway. Today we are doing Viscera cleanup detail, like slightly like one stream of Viscera cleanup detail, nothing like amazing or like too in-depth. I've kind of been wanting to do just like a tiny bit of that over stream, like this one time, and since it's like a, it does fit the challenge for the month, I guess. Might as well just like get out of the way. Maybe get some Broforce in on Tuesday, and then kind of move on to Semblance, which is the the fuck? Oh, what the? We're probably back now. So that was a fun like diversion, I guess. I tried restarting the Stream Deck, and instead of that, I told it to do an update, and that meant that it had to close down any applications it was linked to, which in turn kind of restarted XSplit. See, this is like why people come here, like for the high production values. High production values. Like random Persona 3 music in the background as well. Yeah, I'm just like checking like everything is working. It seems to have messed with all my God, what's it called? It seems to have messed with like all the fonts. So everything is like half the size now in like all the text on the buttons. So yay! I guess I found what I'm gonna be doing tomorrow evening since I'm not streaming. Just like fixing my profiles here. Well done. But yeah, this thing gaming. And then Viscera cleanup detail a bit. Just like one stream. Like I was saying, I'm under no illusion that I could ever finish this game on stream, especially not with like 3 streams a week. Because this is easily like a 60 to 70 to 80 hour long game, depending on how thorough you go, like with a fine-tooth comb brush. With a fine-tooth comb over everything. Why do I want to like say like toothbrush for whatever reason? But yeah, depending on how like precise you are and how God, there's like a polite way to put this. I just can't remember the word. Like if you get like very, very, very obsessed about cleaning stuff, Viscera can probably take upwards of like 100 hours, even more. Especially since the game will absolutely let you make further messes than the one you were sent in to clean. And you probably won't notice until you turn around and suddenly realize that you've been tagging footprints all across the previously shiny space station interiors or whatever. Uh, it's a game that can be very, very annoying and probably intentionally so. So before we do that, I'm actually going to be doing like a small map, like 45 minutes to an hour. It's probably going to take more because you know me, I take my time, I don't really pay attention to my surroundings, etc., etc. Blah, 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 blah. So yeah, I just thought maybe do this day in gaming first for like maybe half an hour or so, and then move on to that. That should kind of like round it up to like maybe a couple of hours of stream, so we can get this out of the way. Fun fact about Viscera cleanup detail is that you can also play it co-op, which means twice the cleaning speed and also probably twice the messes made. But you'll see that a bit later when we actually get to the game. For now, and hopefully I'm live again. It's kind of hard to say because, yeah, I tried restarting the Stream Deck because basically what happened here was today there was an update on XSplit, and I installed that before starting the stream. While I was kind of like, I've got like my work laptop here as well, so like while I was wrapping up my like the couple of things that I needed to do before starting the stream, I had XSplit update, but then the update broke the Stream Deck integration, so I thought maybe I need to restart the Stream Deck, except I don't know how to do that. And when I tried, I instead told it to download the latest update, because as it turns out, the Stream Deck also had an update today. And yeah, Stream Deck doesn't update unless it kills all the apps that are connected to it, which means primarily XSplit, which is what I'm using to broadcast, and also Chatty, and also like a few other things that are running in the background. So yeah, I didn't really think about it, and I was live at the time, so I pressed update, and it probably gave you the disconnect protection screen for a few seconds. I want to say like I was like fast enough to launch it again, but it probably took like a minute or so. But yeah, this thing gaming with coffee today because I am super out of it and tea just wouldn't cut it. We start with a very, very good one, actually. Wow, today starts out like very strong. This day in gaming, November 17th, the game releases 20 years ago in 2002. Like you might already know this if you're like a huge fan of the series like I am. November 17th, 2002 saw the release of not one but two Metroid games, and both of them were kick-ass. So there was Metroid Fusion on the Game Boy Advance, which was a I want to say traditional, but it's not really like really traditional. It's like a hyped up, but in a good way, kind of like a buffed up version of Super Metroid. At least for me, I prefer Metroid Fusion over Super Metroid. It might sound sacrilegious, but I just loved that game. It's basically a sequel of sorts to Metroid Super Metroid. It's on the Game Boy Advance. It featured the return of Samus, but in a in not the traditional like the Chozo power armor, but instead in a kind of like more organic design. So basically, when Metroid Fusion starts, it's the end of Super Metroid. Samus is kind of like going around the galaxy, helping the Galactic Federation exterminate like the rest of the space pirates, etc., etc. And then she returns back to SR-388. where she finds out that the Metroids that she had been killing the entire last game had actually been like a sort of natural predator for another species called the X, which I don't like the design of. Basically, they're in their basic form, they're like this like weird like amoeba-like blobs, which I feel is not like very interesting to look at or fight anyway. But the game starts, you get infected by the X, they destroy Samus's suit, and to save her, they inject her with blood from the last Metroid. It's like hilariously convoluted, but the idea is that like you're not really getting your powers from like Chozo power-ups anymore. You're just like reabsorbing them back from like the X parasites that stole them from you. And why am I giving this big ass preamble to this? It's because one of the best features that Metroid Fusion has is well, SAX. It's like referred to in the game, but it's actually like a parasite version of Samus herself, which is, it's like entirely scripted in the game, but it's Samus pre like transfusion with like her old, like looking like her old self, like the power armor, etc., etc. And it's entirely scripted in the game, but they've made it feel like she's like the ex Samus is stalking you throughout the game. There's like a lot of like tense moments. There's like a few horror-ish moments as well. There's points in the game that you're hiding in a duct and suddenly you hear like a very telltale kind of thudding noise as like the ex Samus thing is kind of stomping like the corridors right below the vent you're in. It's a very tense thing, and actually there's a lot of chase sequences as well with it. Very, very fun. I would highly recommend Metroid Fusion, and once you've kind of like played it, you can probably combine that with what other Metroid game came out 20 years ago, November 27, 2002, which is Metroid Prime. If you've never heard of Metroid Prime, it like get out of the rock you've been living in, because it was like the first example of a, well, it was like the first or like the best. It kind of like depends. It's like a very good example of how to translate the whole Metroidvania 2D platforming thing into 3D shooters. It was such a good game, and the sequel, which came out like a few years later, was also really, really good. I've not played the third one actually, but I've heard that one's kind of okay as well. But yeah, Metroid Prime was basically a standalone thing that took the 2D side-scrolling platform Metroid formula and shifted it to a first-person shooter-ish. Primarily, I think it's like one of the first like FPSs to use lock-on. In the game, you like, okay, this is like not a GameCube controller. I have like one over there, but I wouldn't like want to interrupt more of the stream to go get it. So basically, they did like they borrowed the Zelda Z-axis locking thing, where like if you've not played Zelda, the 3D ones, basically like one of the innovations that they had was like you could hold like a trigger to lock onto an enemy. So they took that and they translated it into an FPS setting, basically. So anything that's close to your cursor, when you press the Z trigger, it kind of like locks your view on it. So now you can kind of like circle strafe with the movement stick instead of kind of like going forwards and backwards. So it doesn't really require a lot of vertical play, basically. You don't really need to constantly align your view up and down. All of the levels are kind of built in a more kind of like horizontal, elongated perspective, most of them. The ones that are not generally have you shifting to a third-person view and using your abilities rather than having to do combat. All in all, a really, really well-made first-person shooter, and I feel like a very good initial idea on how to do first-person shooters on consoles. Because I know Halo kind of like came out the same time-ish, maybe like give or take a year or so, but I feel like Metroid Prime was like the very first iteration of what you could do with a console FPS that you couldn't realistically do with like a keyboard and mouse, or like, you know, to compensate for the fact that you're no longer having like a mouse to kind of like aim around with. Both of them are like very, very, very good games. I've actually streamed Metroid Prime on I don't remember if it was like Year of Retro or if it was like the year before that. We did finish it though, so I could actually check in my Discord, which by the way you can access through here, which has like a running tally of all the games that I've finished throughout the years. And it was, let's see, Metroid, Super Metroid was last year, so fair enough. And Metroid Prime and Metroid Prime 2 the year before that, 2020, the COVID days. I mean, yeah, I mean, people weren't like that busy during COVID, like without social lives and stuff. So, you know, had a lot of time to finish fun stuff. You can probably find the VODs in my YouTube channel, for which I don't have a command yet, because I'm an idiot. Really fun games. I would recommend them. So basically, they didn't come out on the same day by accident. Metroid Fusion and Metroid Prime also had something that Nintendo used to do, and they no longer do, because, you know, the Switch is now kind of like a one-stop multi-purpose powerhouse, I guess, because it's like both like a console and like a home console and like a you know, handheld thing. But if you had the Game Boy Advance data transfer cable, I don't remember its exact name, which would let you connect a Game Boy Advance to a GameCube. Having Metroid Fusion with a cleared save file in the Advance and having Metroid Prime in the GameCube would actually let you unlock content in both. So you would get the Metroid Fusion suit for Samus in Prime in 3D, and I think I don't remember what you get in Fusion. It might have been that you get like a different beam. You may get like the wave beam earlier or something. I don't actually remember, but there was like this connectivity thing, and Nintendo did this a lot back in the GameCube era. So you had like games. There was Wind Waker, which would let you plug in a Game Boy Advance with the data cable and have it act as a map screen for you. There was basically this whole thing called the Tingle Tuner. If you've played any of the more recent Zelda games, you know who Tingle is, the very, 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 very annoying elf thing. So if you had a GameCube with a Game Boy Advance hooked up to it and you played Wind Waker, you could get an item called the Tingle Tuner in Wind Waker, which when used would activate the Game Boy Advance that you had hooked up, and it would show you a map of the dungeon that you were in, plus a few extra rooms that would be accessible only by using that Tingle Tuner. And those basically had, you know, nothing like very consequential. Like there wasn't any collectible that you couldn't get without it, but you would get more heart refills, you would get like more ammunition. There was like a dungeon where you could get like much easier access to chews, which are like the little like jello things, the enemies that you kind of like killed and got like the ooze out of for making potions. There was, I think there were like a few maps that you could only get from the Tingle Tuner, but those just gave you more money rewards anyway, so, you know, there wasn't that. But there were like a few games that used that. I actually have the cable somewhere in storage, and like at some point when we do connect the GameCube to stream a bit off of it, I might actually have that as well, and still probably need to remember where my Game Boy Advance is. But anyway, there was also a game that recently got re-released. Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles had like a more active way of using the Game Boy Advance data cable, because that game had local co-op up to 4 players. Crystal Chronicles is like a hack and slash take on Final Fantasy. It's a isometric third-person action adventure hack and slash thing. So it would have co-op, but to play co-op, you couldn't just hook up 4 GameCube controllers. No, because everyone had their own inventory screens. You basically hooked up one GameCube controller for player 1, who also used the main screen as their inventory, and everyone else had to have their own Game Boy data cable and Advance console, Game Boy Advance console, from which they could control their own characters on screen and check their separate inventories from. It's like such a cool thing, just kind of marred a bit by the investment required, because you needed to have 3 people that owned both Game Boy Advances and the data cable, because so you need like 3 cables and 3 portable consoles to play like a 4-player co-op game in that game, which was like a bit too much, I guess. And you could probably already have like one of your own if you cared about like cross-platform connectivity and so on, but then you have to find like more people to have more of those as well. So maybe not the best idea. I hear the Switch/PC, I guess, or like PS4 re-release of that now uses online connectivity to do things instead of, you know, asking you to have like 4 Switch consoles connected onto your PC or something like that, dumb like that. And I've heard like people liking it a lot, other than some a bit weird connectivity issues. But yeah, it's like a whole era of gaming that was very, very weird at the time. Speaking of weird, 18 years ago, 2004. This is a game that I maybe shouldn't be talking about because I haven't played it yet, but PlayStation 2 had Metal Gear Solid 3 Snake Eater, aka the Cold War Snake or something like that. I think Snake's codename in that one's like Naked Snake for some reason. Probably very sexualized. I don't know. Like, knowing Kojima, there was probably like a lot of TNA on display. The third game in the rebooted, because, you know, there have been like 2 MSX games at the time, Metal Gear and Metal Gear 2. So MGS1, MGS2, and then MGS3 having come out. The third one, I've heard from a lot of people being regarded as the best one of the series, but maybe that's because the very next main story one that came out was 4, which was rather disappointing. But yeah, in MGS3 you take control of Naked Snake, which I guess is the... God, I think it's like Solid Snake's dad? Like, it's like his clone daddy or something. Because I believe Naked Snake ends up being like Big Boss from like the first 2 games. It also had, if I'm not mistaken, more survival elements, in that you were often in wilderness areas and you had to use camouflage to mask yourself in your surroundings, and also kind of harvest for you know, wildlife and stuff to feed yourself with or keep yourself warm and stuff. I've not played it. Like, people are talking about this as if it's, you know, the best MGS game of all of them. I don't necessarily think that's going to be the case when I do end up playing it, but I'm going to make sure to put it up on Discord when I actually do, because you're probably going to enjoy it more than me. And speaking of things I didn't enjoy very much that other people did, segue. 14 years ago, November 17th, 2008, Left 4 Dead, Left 4 Dead came out on PC and Xbox 360. The kickstarting the 4-player co-op player versus environment genre of games, basically. Because I don't think I can remember any other 4 versus, you know, AI games before Left 4 Dead. After that, I can think of a lot, like most prominently Left 4 Dead 2, there was Evolve, There's that thing that Gibbon plays, Hunt Showdown or something, that also kind of is a bit of that. There's Vermintide. There's like Dark Tide coming out in a few months, which is Vermintide but in space, basically. There was Back for Blood by the people that made the first Left 4 Dead. There's like a lot of player, like co-op player versus environment games nowadays, and I think at least partially Turtle Rock, the developers that made this, and Valve were like the first ones to kind of capitalize on the whole craze, because this idea was around before Left 4 Dead. Unreal Tournament 2003 and 2004 had the same thing in, what was it called, like Horde mode, but that one was less, you know, do story-based missions to like get across point A to B while hordes of enemies are trying to, you know, make you late in more ways than one. And it was more like a kind of like wave survival thing that would eventually also appear in the Gears of War games. But yeah, Left 4 Dead kind of has like a story. It's the standard zombie apocalypse. You take control of one of 4 survivors, and you basically, either with bots or other players, try to make your way across the scenarios of the game. Basically, there's like a story, very light story, but there is something approaching that, where the group of 4 survivors have to make their way across America, basically, to get rescued from the zombie apocalypse. Uniquely at the time, it also had special enemies that would spawn. Basically, let's rewind here, because before we talk about the special enemies, we probably need to talk about the AI director. The first big selling point of Left 4 Dead was that it had a dynamic enemy spawn system, I guess. And not just enemies. Basically, the game had what was called the AI director, which was a series of conditionals, very advanced conditionals for the time, which would analyze what situation the players were in. Basically, it would take account their current health levels, how fast they were progressing through the level, how much ammunition and weapons they had, what was like their healing item supply like, whether some of the players had died or not, etc., etc. And it would try to ramp up the difficulty so that the challenge level would stay consistent for all players. So basically, if you were doing really, really well in the game, the AI director would start despawning ammunition and healing items, and it would start like spawning more and more enemies to kind of try and give you a hard time. If you were struggling and people were dying and you like were barely kind of making it across the level, it would tone down the aggressiveness and the number of the enemies, and maybe pop up a few more healing items just around the corner for you to get. The idea was that it could have like a consistency in the experience. It would like slowly ramp up, like up to the collective skill level of the players. Now, if you've heard me describe this, you immediately know what's like going wrong in these cases. It's the matchmaking. Whenever you got players, there's like the problem with the AI director. Whenever you got players that were like really, really good at the game, and they were joined by very like lower skill level players, I wouldn't want to say bad, because you know everyone plays games at their own paces, but like if you had like someone that would like keep rushing in because they've played this game for like 2,000 hours, and then you paired those with like a newbie that just bought the game, the AI director would make the experience miserable for everyone, because the experienced player would not get enough action to justify the like running the map, and the newbie would probably get swamped by all the enemies that the experienced player was inadvertently causing to spawn. In Left 4 Dead 2, the sequel, which we talked about yesterday, they did try to tone that down a bit by giving more emphasis on special infected, the special enemies I was talking about, rather than crowds of regular zombies. But again, it's one of those things that like you need to play with friends that are like about the same amount of exposure to the game that you are. Otherwise, you're gonna have a miserable time. If you're too experienced and you get paired with newbies, you get no challenge, no fun. If you are a newbie getting paired with like one of like the elite players in the game, you get also a miserable experience because the game suddenly hates you for being with someone of a higher like skill level, right? So it ended up being not very fun for me. I know a lot of people loved it, and I've seen people have like upwards of like 10,000 hours into Left 4 Dead collectively, plus like all the expansions and like extra maps and stuff that came out. But I never really got to enjoy any of these games. I even tried like a few years later on Vermintide and also didn't. It didn't like click for me, unfortunately. What did click for me though was what came out 13 years ago. November 17, 2009, Assassin's Creed 2 came out on the PS3 and Xbox 360. The start of the Ezio Chronicles, which is basically kind of fun because there was only one other Assassin's Creed game before 2. 2 kind of was the one where the game opened up a lot more and got into the stride of yearly releases, because there was Assassin's Creed 2 in 2009, there was like Assassin's Creed Brotherhood in 2010, there was Assassin's Creed Revelations in 2011, then there was like in 2012 there was 3, then there was 4, then like Unity and Syndicate and Ragnarok and the Greek one that I don't remember, the Egyptian one, Origins, I guess. And yeah, basically I feel at this point the series has been driven into the ground. Multiple layers of ground, but yeah, other than that, I've actually beaten Assassin's Creed 2 and gotten all of the collectibles. I liked it that much. It takes around like 100 hours to collect like all the shitty little flags and feathers that you collect in the game. It has a really good story. Maybe I don't like how the game started the series' tendency to shoehorn famous historical figures in it just to, you know, make it feel more historical. But it was like a very fun game. Assassin's Creed 2 and maybe Brotherhood to some extent are probably, I think, like where the series kind of like hit its stride, and kind of like got the, you know, the flow of it, the grand adventure between present day boring Miles Desmond and, you know, back to the past, like whatever like Ezio's grandfathers were like. I probably spent the most time out of like the first 3 Assassin's Creed games into 2. And if you've not played it, it's often on sale everywhere. Probably some freebies sometimes as well. It's like probably like one of the more popular ones. I think 2 and maybe 4 are the more populars of the original series before they kind of like went more into the RPGs aspect with Origins and the Greek one that I don't remember the name of, and Ragnarok or Valhalla, I don't remember. There's the last 3 ones that came out was like the Egyptian one, the Greek one, and the Norwegian one, the Norse one. So I don't remember what they're called, but they're like more RPG-ish, in that now you need to get like randomized loot and pay attention to your stats, etc., etc. But you know, they're still apparently very fun, just not a thing that I want to spend hours upon hours on. Let's see, let's get moving a bit, because there's not a lot. Oh, really? So from that we have a gap of 13 years ago to 8 years, it's 5 years later. November 17th, 2014, PC had the release of Far Cry 4. I've not played Far Cry 4. Apparently, the only thing I remember about this is it did like a thing that everyone was talking about back in the day, which was if you let the game run for like a few minutes during the initial like intro sequence. So basically the game starts, as far as I remember, Far Cry 4 starts with your protagonist visiting their like estranged father or something, who also happens to be like a warlord or whatever. in was like Nepal. I don't remember. I've only played up to 3, but I think it's like Nepal. But like he's like a warlord or like a gun runner or something, and you're basically visiting him to find out what happened to the protagonist's mother or something to that effect. And like what everyone was talking about that game, like the initial sequence has you have dinner with your estranged father, and then he just like goes off screen for a few minutes to take care of some business. You're normally supposed to go follow him and see like he's acting out like some atrocity or another, and you get inspired to be like a freedom fighter or whatever. But if you just sit there and wait for him to come back, he takes you to your mother's grave, you put some flowers on it, you fly back home, and the game ends. And I think that was like the biggest bit of publicity that this game had. Otherwise, I remember hearing it's a lot like Far Cry 3. Basically, you're given like a big open world area to play in, do a bunch of activities, liberate a bunch of enemy bases, organize a local ragtag band of militia into a resistance, and eventually take down the enemy. In the third one's case, that was like Vas and like his sister, whatever her name was. In this one, I think his name is Ming something. But yeah, as far as I'm hearing it, after Far Cry 3, every single Far Cry game is just the same game but with like a different location, reskin. Basically like Assassin's Creed. Which kind of makes sense because both are made by Ubisoft, and they have repeatedly gone on record saying that they are looking for games with sequel potential. Because, you know, all like the sexual scandals and stuff weren't enough. They now need to piss off gamers too. Anyway, and with that we move on to the final ones, which is another thing that pisses some people off. 5 years ago, November 17th, 2017. If that day sounds familiar, that's because the game is also gonna sound familiar. Nintendo Switch saw the 31st, I guess, release of Skyrim on it. Yeah, it's like the time that Skyrim came out on the Switch after coming out on everything else under the sun. Like, you know, PC, PS3, PS4, Xbox One, Xbox 360, probably like some toaster ovens. There's likely gonna be like a mobile version at some point since they ran out of things to re-release it on. There was like a VR version. There was a what's it called? There was like a Legendary Edition, a Game of the Year Edition. Like Skyrim has come out so many times at this point that, I mean, it like inevitably shows up once every month on my This Day in Gaming. This time it's 2017 on the Nintendo Switch. Apparently it did really well on it, which, I mean, of course it did. Like the Nintendo Switch is like pretty much like built for games like those, if I'm being honest. Like the open world kind of like aimless, explore at your pace kind of game. I mean, as is evidenced by how well Breath of the Wild also did on the console. And apparently Arceus, among others. But yeah, it's open world. It's Skyrim but handheld. You know, you've probably heard of Skyrim in one way or another, so there's not a lot to be said about it. Open world, Fus Roda, etc., etc. There was another game that also came out 5 years ago, November 17th, 2017. It was actually like an expanded version. It's actually 2 expanded versions. Pokemon Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon came out on the 3DS. I've not actually played Ultra Sun or Ultra Moon. I've played the regular Moon. Vanilla Moon, I guess. And I've spent a lot of time on it. I think it was probably one of the reasons that I got burned out on Pokemon games. I was actually talking about this with Millimage yesterday when we raided him during his Final Fantasy IX marathon. But I think that because we've had like such a dense release schedule of Pokemon games after going through the drought that was the pre-Moon era, I guess. Because I just realized in like 5 years we had like Sun, Moon, Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, let's go Pikachu, let's go Eevee, Arceus, Sword and Shield, and now we get like Scarlet and Mahogany or whatever the other one's called. I don't know. I've not paid attention, to be honest, but and also there was like Pokemon Snap, there's like Pokemon Go on the phones, there's, you know, a lot of exposure there, like Pokemon Cafe or something or another on the phone again. It kind of takes it to the point that, you know, you get like too much saturation, right? You don't really get excited anymore about the prospect of catching them all. I remember like going through Sword and thinking, oh god, I think I just want to finish this and never play it again. So yeah, that's kind of like a burnout for me. And that's also why I'm not getting Scarlet. Even though I find it interesting that they're now going for like an open world thing. Again, Arceus as well. There was like also Arceus. It's like 8 games in 5 years. So yeah, that also brings me to the end of this day in gaming. So this would be a good time to preemptively run a 30-second ad. Apologies to those that do get it. I hope that you don't get it, like some people. And I'm gonna get situated in Viscera cleanup detail in the meantime. So get the ad up. Yep. For those of you that are still here, we're like changing the title of the stream. Taking a sip of coffee. And launching the game. Yay. Like Viscera cleanup detail. Decay? Decay? What was that weird slip of the tongue? Yeah. Viscera cleanup detail, and we get this as well. Fuck me. That was awful. Why is it so loud? 45? Is that like 40 is enough, I guess? So, Viscera Cleanup Detail, made by Runestorm Studios, which are basically... God, they're not from Johannesburg. They are from... Let me load up my cheat sheet because I don't remember. God, where were they from? I forgot to check this up before starting the stream. They were from Hillcrest. Yeah, so get like Cape Town, Johannesburg, Hillcrest, and that's about it as far as I could find games. But yeah, they're from Hillcrest. This initially started out as a what was it called? Make something unreal. So basically, Epic, before they became like the huge like douche lords of the EGS and Fortnite, they used to run a yearly game jam competition on their Unreal Engine called Make Something Unreal. And this was, God, I want to say it was like an entry in like 2017 or like 2016 or something. So basically what this is you play as a space janitor that is being sent into like a variety of sci-fi accident sites. And you get to clean a whole bunch of blood and other shit. I'm gonna like lower it a bit more. 23 is enough. It's like very, you know, loud, basically. So, full disclosure, even though the challenge says that these are games that I haven't played before, I couldn't actually find anything else to fit the South African theme. And honestly, the last time I played this was like 2018 or something, so 4 years I think counts as not having played it. I'm also going to load up a map that I haven't cleaned yet, so I don't know like where all the things are. But yeah, this is like the expanded version of the Make Something Unreal version. You play as a well, as a, what's it called, like a space janitor basically, and you get to choose a variety of levels that are, like, if you see like from the pictures, they are all sci-fi accident sites. You get like the maintenance tunnels, you get like the underground, like I think this one's based on like the Half-Life 2 level in the prisons. I think this one's inspired by Frictional Games. God, what was it called? Their first horror series. It wasn't like Amnesia. It was before that. Well, Penumbra was like one of them. Anyway, like the chemical refinery. Like all of these are kind of like inspired in some way or another from like various, sci-fi things. So they all come with like a size and like a length estimate. So I'm gonna run like one of the like short ones. There's like a few 1 hour ones that are like fine, I guess, for like an hour's playtime. There's a lot of like quite like long ones, like 2 or 3 hours long. I think like the biggest one like takes like 3.5 hours or something. Let's see, 3, 2, 30, 133, 2. Anyway, it's like a lot. I'm gonna run section 8. I've never run this. It's like a 45-minute long map, which I mean works great. So there's like a few other things. I'm gonna go with like average footprint limit because I don't want to disable them. That kind of feels like cheating. I'm gonna explain why. Get starting work. Wait, why isn't it capturing it? Oh, there we go. So yeah, my name is Janitor. I'm 24 years old, a junior executive janitor, tasked with the cleansing of this section of the facility, which is of the utmost urgency. Ventilation is to be turned off by tomorrow, as many alien spores were discovered in the ductwork, the source of which has been found to be in this area. Failure to clean the area will result in the access doors being sealed and the ventilation systems isolated from the area. Company advises you to consider the lives of other technicians in the course of your duties. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the person in scrubs. So yeah, if you didn't like get it already, this is like a highly satirical take on the janitorial thing. I think I need to raise the gamma a little bit just to be able to see what's going on. Okay, it translates on the stream as well, so that's good. So yeah, sci-fi horror accidents basically. You start out with like a couple of tools. You get the sniffer, which is the thing that if you activate it, we just like keep beeping until you get closer to like whatever mess there is that you need to clean. You get the hands, which you use to manipulate things with. And you get your trusty mop, with which we'll be cleaning up all these lovely blood stains. So yeah, the general objective here: clean all the messes that you can find, pick up all the things that do not belong here and basically burn them out, and basically don't make more of a mess than there already is. Now, the reason that I put the footprint thing on average is because the game actually has like a bit of fun for you if you're not being careful. And I'm going to demonstrate this even though I shouldn't be doing it. If you actually step on some mess in the game, you start tracking footprints of that mess around, which, yeah, in this case it doesn't like go for long, but it is very, very, very annoying to accidentally step into something without wanting to and making a mess of everything. So yeah, the basic interaction is that we wash out the mop, use it to pick up the messes until the tip of the thing gets bloody, in which case if I keep cleaning, I'm actually gonna start making things worse. See? Like now I'm actually spreading it instead of cleaning it. Then I come back, clean it up, and repeat. Eventually this is gonna get too like contaminated to like clean my mop anymore, so I'm gonna have to throw it out and get a new one from the Slosh-O-Matic, which is where this little counter comes into play, because in their like mischievous wisdom, the developers have decided that the Slosh-O-Matic, the thing that actually pops out buckets, doesn't always pop out buckets. Sometimes you get fun surprises, which may include bloody bits that make a mess around everything, or stacks of TNT that explode. Although I think that's like only in like the DLC. It's basically like a Santa's Workshop DLC in this game. Now I will say up front, this is not gonna be like a very like interesting thing to watch. I'm gonna like be maybe talking about other things while we're kind of like going around. Yep, I stepped on something. Lovely. I feel like the whole appeal of the game kind of comes from primarily the co-op, I guess. Not so much the single player, if I'm being honest. But unfortunately, since I can't actually stream in co-op, you'll have to kind of like make do with little old me. It's like another annoying thing is that like sometimes there's also like bloody bits of like whoever died in here, and those will also keep generating more blood the more you move them around. So you're actually kind of meant to incinerate those as you find them eventually. Oh, okay, we got like a... Oh no. Shit. Yeah. I need some lights. There's like a few more tools that we can get eventually, but I think they might be through here. So, you know, the first thing I need to do is kind of make a path to all the tools so that I don't like keep treading messes all across the level. Okay, it's like the other tool here. The water load, which is basically like disposal bins that you can use to throw things in so that they don't make a mess. So like all these like bloody bits you can kind of like put in there so that they don't generate more blood until you get to eventually like incinerate them. And you know, it also helps that like instead of carrying every little bit into the incinerator, which should be somewhere around here, I guess, you get like one nice handy kind of like disposal thing to put everything in. Whoop. No! Damn it. God damn it. Just like drop everything in like one nice little like disposal bin and then, you know, throw it in here, incinerate it, and get it, you know, get it sorted. And yes, this is gonna be a bit tedious as well because you need to collect everything and make everything super tidy. Like you need to like throw everything in the incinerator like this. So okay, we've got buckets, incinerator, the trash bins. Is like anything else? Wait, that's all? That's like a rather small level. I mean, yeah, fair enough. It does only take like it does say that it only takes like 45 minutes to do. So fair enough. I think my first order of business is to carry a few of the bits out of the way, especially like the giblets, because these are what is gonna make all the mess and what is gonna make me a very, very angry and sad person. Nope, no, we need this. Leave that out. So basically, the little pieces of gore here are what's gonna, you know, make all the what's it called? All the kind of unintended messes. So it's usually ideal to pick those out of the way first, so that you know, you like when you're running around, you don't always see what's at your feet, and you kind of like avoid kicking them around and making more blood spatters. Like this one. God, there's like a leg. Actually, it's like a very interesting thing about this game. The set design is very, very good. And what do I mean by that? The levels are mostly built in such a way that there's like little kind of like vignettes or like small stories happening all around the thing. Like it's like a event that something came out of. See, something like that. Or there's like the word doom thing on the wall here that I also need to clean. Someone had fun. But yeah, this is like mostly a... Unless you're super... Fuck me, why did I do that? I meant to change to the hands to lift it up, and instead I smacked it, and all the bloody water spilled on the floor. Yeah, you're like... Normally you're kind of like meant to pick up the bloody buckets and just like dispose of them in the incinerator, so that you don't make more messes with like all the bloody water. But I guess I kind of fucked up in this case, but still. I was like, pick these that are close enough. Yeah, this is like more fun in co-op. Again, it's kind of like the nature of physics-based stuff that is inevitably a lot more fun if you played with other people that can kind of fuck up alongside with you. The same was true of Trine. The same is true for like what's it called, like Human Fall Flat, I think. The same is true for any co-op game that has like physics in it. Magica has like the exact same like motto, I guess. I'm just like gonna have this one here. So we need a where do we start? Like get these out of the way. I don't like seeing them. We're not doomed. We're scrubbed. I should probably get like another bin here and drop all the trash in it. Start by getting like trash out of the way. But yeah, just like in like a co-op game, you could probably you know, delegate, I guess. Basically get someone to do the giblets, get someone to do like all the other trash, get someone to do the mopping, and so on and so forth, and kind of like put people in like their role of choice to clean things more efficiently. Like I never really got like the time estimates because they seem to be very stringent. Generally, from my experience, games tend to take like maybe twice as long as it says on the on like the level description, and I think that's probably, or at least like partially, because of the you know, because of like the co-op aspect. They're probably like balancing things for more, you know, like 2 or 3 players maybe. So if you're playing solo, it takes longer. So yeah, like when you put this in the incinerator, it's supposed to like burn. What the? Wow. Can I not put this in there to burn? No? Nope. Is it stuck? Wow. Come on. I only want to burn. What? Okay. Tell you what. Just like put this down for now. For a bit. Get to do like every other thing. Also get some light also. To see like all the messes here. And you know, eventually get to do other things as well. Okay, let's see. It's kind of a shame there's like not a lot of people like yesterday. This is exactly the kind of game you'd want to, you know, have people to chat with. Yes, there's not a lot of things happening. This is a good example of what I'd call a podcast game. This is like one of those games, like Elite in some regards, Euro Truck Simulator, House Flipper, what else? There's like a lot of games that have kind of like tedious. Power Wash Simulator is like a popular one nowadays, where you can actually just, you know, do like repetitive Zen-like, you know, gameplay while you're listening to something in the background, like watching a video or like catching up with your podcasts and whatever. Just like clean this. Oh god, there's like so many of these stupid manhole covers. Yeah, this is like for me a game that you play mostly while listening to something else in the background, something like more interesting or more engaging, like, you know, a podcast or like a video essay or something to that effect. This is kind of a shame, though. It's fun, but it's definitely not like an action-packed deal. You know, you're like basically tidying up more or less after, you know, horrific accidents. Also, this is like, aside from that, this is also one of those games that has wacky physics, I guess. In such a way that sometimes things can absolutely fuck you over without it ever being your fault. Like the aforementioned giblets being a source of blood, like for like making messes when you're trying to dispose of them. Like it's like a very common occurrence when you kind of like overloaded these buckets, these like biohazard disposal units. That the physics get a bit weird and like things start like hopping above from the... Hey, Django, hi, how's it going? Like, yeah, some things like hop up from the top of the can and they just bounce around. And if that thing's like a body left over, you get a lot of blood. That you once again need to go clean because the game hates you, etc., etc. Yeah, how are we doing today? There's like things here. Yep. This is like gonna be like one stream of this, by the way, since you're looking at the schedule. One stream of this, one stream of Viscera cleanup detail on Tuesday, hopefully. Oh wait, no. Broforce. Let's see. Get that out of the way. Come on. Cleaned. Haha. And so it's like one stream of this, one stream of Broforce, and then we can actually move on to like the interesting one in the list, which is Semblance, part of the challenge. Yeah, I mean, you'd be surprised at how hard it is to find games from South Africa. Not because there aren't any, but because for whatever reason they don't really, you know, advertise them as much. Like, I've played 20 hours of this pre-stream, like since this game came out in like 2014 or 2015 or something, and I never knew that the Rune Storm or whatever they're called were from South Africa. It just seems to be like one of those things where they don't really advertise it at all. I had the exact same issue with God, what was it called? I mean, like the horror games, I couldn't really like figure out like which country they were from. Broforce? Yeah, Broforce is oh, what was the studio called? Free Lives, I think it's called, and it's also from South Africa. It's a kind of parody, side-scrolling shoot 'em up, basically. It's kind of like a take on like the Contra recipe, but it stars like every action hero ever, or like parodies of every action hero ever. It is a like a Murica parody, basically, more or less. My bag is doing better. Thank you for asking. It's not like 100% of the way there, but since yesterday's stream, it feels like a lot more. You know, it doesn't. What's the word? It doesn't like pull me as much. Like you can. I don't really feel like the pull of like the muscles as much. So there's that. Basically, that's like a good thing. Oh god. There's like so many guts here. Probably gonna need to get more water. Yeah. But yeah, like I said, this is what I call like a podcast game. Like you do some like not very strenuous, not very like exciting tasks, very repetitive usually. But you know, you can have like a podcast in the background or like a stream or you know, like any other kind of media that you might want to kind of like passively consume, like music or like maybe a show that you've watched before, etc., or be the stream. Yeah. I mean, the reason I'm saying this is because I know this is like probably far from like the most exciting thing that I've ever streamed. It's like probably like takes a place as like the least exciting thing ever. And I'm aware of that. It's just that, like, again, for the purposes of the challenge, I couldn't really like have a lot of other things to stream either, unfortunately. I wish that wasn't the case, but well, I'm sure there's like more South African games that I just couldn't find because, again, they don't seem to like telling people that they're from South Africa. I don't know why. Like, as an example, Stacy's, I had to research for close to an hour to figure out which part of South Africa they were from. Because their website doesn't tell, their the IGDB database doesn't tell, their blog doesn't mention this. Eventually I found it mentioned in like a what's it called? Like eventually I found it mentioned in like a like an interview they had with like a Johannesburg based like webzine or something like that, like a magazine or whatever. And like the only reason I knew it because like whoever wrote the article started, yeah, Johannesburg based local indie studio, the Brotherhood, like with their like hit released Stacy's. I'm like, oh, Johannesburg, okay. Oh, please fall in. No, don't fall out, please. Thank you. I don't need more mess. Yeah, it's like, I should not be looking this hard to find out where you're from. Like you should be advertising this for, if nothing else, for like preservation and statistical sake. Like it's so much easier to kind of like say, oh, you know, 10% of games come out from, you know, America, and like another 9 from Japan, and 5 or 6 or 7% come from, you know, the UK, and so on and so forth. But because they make it so hard to figure these things out, it's always such a pain. Okay, I'm gonna do something that I would probably do later. And that... Okay, there's no mess here. Fuck. Did I? Oh, I didn't. Uh-oh. There's a mess here. God damn it. Let me get these out of the way. Yep. Should have checked before I started stacking. Sadly. Oh. At least it wasn't like too much of a mess so far. Like, it's like entirely possible something's gonna break and like unleash like a gallon of blood or something. Because this game hates you very much as a player. What the? Come on. Also, I could probably have laid that out a bit better so that I didn't have to do this like that. Oh, come on! Get in the freaking... You know what? Fuck it. Just throw it in there. Oh. I made mess. I made mess. I made mess. Eh. I have to go clean mess. Okay, that was like the bucket's last. Hurrah. Burn it. Yeah, I made a mess here. God damn it. There's like probably like a bit more of a mess in there as well. I also need to get rid of this. Put it here. Just like start stacking these again. So basically the way the game kind of counts how you've kind of like tidied up is that everything that shouldn't be in the level, like for example like the shells here, for example, the gun shells, or the body parts, or the blood, or in some levels you also get like a gun. You also get like a laser that lets you fuse holes, which basically helps you fill in stuff that has been shot through or, you know, otherwise punctured. Every little bit of these like messes gives you a certain completion percentage when you kind of like do away with it. You either clean the blood or incinerate the body parts, etc., etc., etc. On top of that, another percentage of the game is putting things that are supposed to be in the level in the places they're supposed to be in. In this case, you can see barrels. This is the barrel zone, and this is the crate zone. So every crate and every barrel in the game, you're supposed to kind of like bring in here and kind of stack. It doesn't need to be neatly, but I do remember reading in the wiki that the game checks... the game checks the orientation of the barrels and the chests. So basically, if I put it down the wrong way around and I don't flip it the correct way up, it doesn't count as like a percentage point of, you know, being tidy. You can stack them on top of one another as long as they're like in their like correct orientation, which handily the game does if you click the mouse. So I can just like come and make increasingly absurd towers of shit. Like so. Like, because this is like one of the smaller levels, there's probably like not a lot that I need to worry about. Bigger levels, you get to play around with other technology, like the aforementioned laser that helps you plug... Oh, fuck. Helps you like plug in walls and stuff. Like when there's like gunshot bullet holes in the walls, you can kind of like fuse them back together. Also, fuck this thing. I hate this thing. This is like a radio that if you turn it on, it starts like bouncing around the level, and it usually makes a big mess, especially if you've left any bodies around and you haven't incinerated everything yet. Let's see. I'm just like gonna stack these here for now, you know. Like this. Come on. Yep. Mm-hmm. There we go. Tidy. Oh, this is not tidy. Like, the first time I played the level and I kind of like figured out where you have to like stack things, I absolutely tried to make everything fit from like biggest to smallest. But as you play like the bigger levels, that thing is absolutely not feasible. Because there's like just so many things that you need to do that you can be in a level for 5 to 6 hours if you don't, you know, cut some corners, basically. Put that down there as well. Fuck you. Like all the shells. I don't think it's like worth it bringing like a box at this point since I'm like next to the incinerator. Just like throw things in. Do. There we go. Aha! And haha. And kind of haha. I think that's all of them. Can you just like put it up there? Doesn't count. It's too... God damn it. See what I was saying about the physics being weird? Now, I'm not actually sure if the game expects me to incinerate these, like, slabs as well. Like, I want to say it doesn't, but then again, the game is often very mean to you in that regard. It doesn't actually, like, tell you where it expects everything to be. So... Oh, wait. There was, like, another USB stick here. Where did it go? Oh, no. Did I kick it in the... Did I? I think I kicked it under the boxes. Well, I am not gonna look for it anymore. You know, I can probably live without getting like a full 100% completion. This one time. Although I do need some light here. Do we have any more blood? Oh, of course we do. Cool. Look at all the lovely blood. Wash. Cool. Wash. Okay. This one's done. Let me go dispose of it. Also, the physics can absolutely like fuck you over in this regard. So if you've seen me incinerate the dirty water, there is like a very small possibility that I miss, and you know the water kind of like falls into the graphic for the incinerator, and the game decides that I've actually spilled the water on the incinerator instead of trying to incinerate the water. In that case, you can absolutely have like a teeny tiny 1% of dirty, and it's gonna be like a blood spatter in the incinerator. I hate it when that happens, but it does happen sometimes. Let me just like get these out of the way as well. Like, it usually pays to do like each room as thoroughly as possible before moving on, because like inevitably you do get to have what are they called? Let's call them like safe zones. Like, you do absolutely need to have like a few locations that are a bit more clean than others, so that you can kind of like retreat into if you encounter too much mess. Otherwise, okay, yeah, this is tidy, right? You could just like kind of like try and like tidy these here as well, so that they're not in the way. But yeah, again, it's like the physics in this can very much screw you over. Like, things are never as neat as you want them because of this. It's kind of like playing, what's it called? The Surgeon Simulator. Only, you know, in this case, the body parts can attack you back. Kinda. Or they can cause more trouble for you. Also, this is like a lift, by the way. This is what I should have been using to clean up those things there. Let me demonstrate. It's like basically like a portable lift thing. So if you've placed it correctly, these two legs will kind of like extend and, you know, provide support. So now you can kind of... Oh, there we go. Go up here and... Aha, now I can reach the blood. I mean, I could... Oh no, there's body parts up here. Yeah, we're gonna need more of these. You know, at least I saw it before, like the end. It's like hoping that it doesn't like launch off. Uh-oh, jumped. Okay, this can fuck me over now. Okay, it didn't. Good. No, no! Yeah, it did. So yeah, everything in this game has a small chance of malfunctioning. This was the malfunction for the lift, which basically makes it launch you up into the air, and also made this kind of like get launched up as well. So if I had oh shit, if I had already like put things into it, fuck. Oh, there we go. If I had already put things into it, they would probably have been shot up into the ceiling and made even like more of a mess. So better not, you know, risk it. Just like be very, very careful. And hope it doesn't like act up on the way down. Let's see, it's also probably like these that I need to clean. Like there's probably like some like very teeny tiny blood spatter there that I hadn't seen. Okay, let's go down like very slowly. Hold on. Something like hold this. Oh nope, it jumped. Never mind. I can drop. I don't care. I can drop. Just like fuck this lift for wanting to screw me over. Okay, now we can just like retract it. What the? Oh, this was like from like a different level that I played. Never mind. That doesn't matter, to be honest. None of this matters in the end of the day. Aha. Okay, let's see. What do I have left? Should be... Okay, there's like these things. Just like gonna drop them down there for now. And just like pick them up later. Again, like if this was in co-op, there would probably like be two people, one of them throwing the barrels down to the other one, kind of like make a little like daisy chain of carrying things. Okay, let's see. Let's try to not step on any more stuff. Try and like clean up all the blood. Like, okay, from the moment you're like done with all the blood. Oh shit! Did I step on it? No, I didn't. Like the moment you're done with like all the blood, it becomes like a much like easier thing to deal with. Because basically, at that point, what you're left with is basically picking up and picking out all the trash, basically, that you need to dispose of. This is done. Ah, please give me a good one. Okay. Bucket didn't screw me over. Good. It's like this one. There's like more up there. Oh, there's like a body part up there. Damn it. I'm gonna have to come back. For now, I kind of need to finish off these. Okay, so now we're clean, I think. So... crate time and then collection time, I guess. I just like start getting like more crates down there. There we go. Should probably have some light here though. Let's see. Because yeah, one of the big reasons that you have like a much easier time once the blood is over is that you no longer have to risk putting out like more water buckets. Because again, the more you use the machines that spawn things, like the buckets or the box, like the disposal boxes. God damn it. The more you have the chance of spawning something that will make a mess instead. Because, you know, this is funny. People cleaning for like 2 hours and then suddenly kind of like fucks it over. Fun. Kinda. I can actually kind of like try and like roll them down the stairs. Yep. See, I'm efficient. Aha. God, this has to be like the most boring stream to watch ever, right? Let's see. Oh, wait, what did I do? I heard something breaking. Never mind, it was just my bones. Yeah, come on. You know what? I don't even care at this point. That counts. So the trick in this game is that you can actually do more than 100% like cleanliness ratio here. In most, if not all of the levels, you don't actually have to clear everything out for the game to go like, okay, good job, you did it. Like at minimum, you have to clean like all the blood and like body parts and stuff like that. But if you're doing like the boxes and the barrels and stuff like that, you usually also get enough to kind of like have some leeway in all the things that you may have missed. Oh shit, I just noticed that. There's gonna be more blood to clean. God freaking damn it. Yeah. So yeah, that can happen. So technically this counts as the bucket fucking me over. So yay. Come on. Now we need to mop that up. And also get rid of the empty bucket. Burned. I'm gonna need this. And I'm gonna have to place it... Oh, shit. Almost made a mess again. Let's see. Oh yeah, okay, it's not like on a flat surface, so oh, there we go. Yeah, it's not on a flat surface, so it doesn't actually like count as unfolding. So do I have to just like, place it here? But that's not like close enough. Cool. I mean, okay, it doesn't have to be close enough. This will do. Obstructed. Wait, where's the body? Oh, wait, what? Oh no, where's the body part? Oh, never mind. I was like worried for a moment that it went through the stairs. Because again, this game does not have like a very good, you know, relationship with actual physics. It can absolutely get like things stuck in places that you can't reach. And that includes bloodstains, body parts, trash. Like even like some of the tools that you get can get stuck in stuff, and you can no longer actually access them. Because I also got the mop, right? The broom. I haven't used it because I didn't really like need to. But I have like the broom as well. Outside of like your default mop, everything else that you pick up is temporary, and you can only carry one. Fuck. No. Yep. The dispensers fucked me over again. So this is what I was talking about, that there's like a random chance that like these things can kind of like screw you over. It's like a very hilarious like chance that the game decides that instead of getting a disposal unit or like a bucket or something, you actually get like a body part or 5 because haha. And now I can't actually spawn a bucket on top of them because that's gonna push them out and create even more of a mess. So I have to kind of like dispose of them one by one, clean the mess, and then start trying to spawn more boxes. It's like entirely possible you get like 2 or 3 of them in a row as well. It's like random. Because, you know, that I guess they thought that was fun. At least it's like probably fun for people watching, but probably not if you're actually... No. If you're actually playing the game. In which case, Okay, let's see. We've got like this in here. Got anything in here? I don't know. Oh, there we go. Shells. Aha. All the shells, all the time. Clink. Oh! Everything got spilled over. Or not. Did it not? Please tell me it didn't. Yeah, okay, it's clean-ish. I still probably need to bring the lifter here to get the body part on the pipe above me. Yep. Cool. Or make a mess again. I don't know if I got everything up there, but we'll find out. I wish there was like a this game is fun. Don't get me wrong. In the kind of like I don't want to call like I want to say like it's like OCD, but it is kind of fun in like the getting everything clean kind of way. But I do wish it had like more streamlined options for dealing with like all the little shit. Like I wish there was like some kind of magnet weapon that would pull all of the shells at you, for example, so you wouldn't have to pick them up one by one. Or, you know, there's like a hose that lets you, you know, wash out blood more efficiently than having to visit the bucket every time. You know? There's like, you know, the little things that I wish the game did slightly different. I mean, even then, like the game's fun for what it's trying to be, which is kind of like a goofy take on, you know, spring cleaning, probably. Shouldn't be like that much more left. So I'm just like gonna get like everything sorted here. Get the barrels and the boxes back to where they're supposed to go. And then we're gonna do like one last sweep to see if we haven't missed anything. And finally start like using the sniffer. I haven't used it yet because generally it's not very good when there's already like a lot of mess around you. The sniffer is great for when you're at the end of the level and you kind of want to check around and see if there's anything that you've missed. Like if there's like a hidden part of the level that you haven't found yet. There's like a, you know, like a crevice or like an awning or something above you that has blood that you haven't noticed. You know, that kind of thing. Like this. Also, the sniffer will not beep on like barrels or boxes that are out of place. That's like it will strictly detect either bloodstains or items that are not supposed to be in the level. Like trash, like body parts, things that you're actually meant to go incinerate, etc., etc. Things that didn't originate in the level. Fuck. I knocked it over. So yeah, since, like I said, every little bit in the game can actually like malfunction and get everything fucked up. This is how the lamp gets fucked up. It will actually break, and the fluid that's in it, the phosphorescent fluid that's in it, will actually start kind of like traveling around the place and causing fires. Because, you know, fun, I guess. And this is like usually like the challenge with most levels in the game. It's not like the messes that are in the game, it's the messes that you cause while being like either clumsy or just not paying as much attention, or because the physics kind of hate you for it. Shit. Here you go. It's like a barrel. There's like 3 or 4 more boxes and a couple more barrels, right? And then we're done with the level, hopefully. Box. It's time for the sniffer. Like, I wonder how well this game did in like streaming circles. I don't remember ever seeing like a lot of people stream this, but on the other hand, I mean, I don't really watch a lot of streams overall, so that's not a qualified observation that I'm making. Or to be more kind of like blunt about it, you know, the fact that I haven't seen streams of this doesn't mean there haven't been streams of this. I'm just in a place of not watching that many streams. Okay, it's like just like the 2 boxes in the barrel then, right? Cool. Then we're done. Then I'm gonna incinerate the light as well, because that technically also isn't supposed to be here. Incinerate the light, incinerate the bucket. Actually, I'm gonna leave the light for now, because I'm gonna go around with the sniffer after I'm done with the boxes. See if there's anything, and if it's in the shadows, I'm gonna need like a light source. In bigger levels, you can actually spawn your own tools. Like, there's no like limited availability of lights or, you know, brooms and stuff like that. You can actually kind of like have like a dispenser to pop them out at will, basically. So let's see, am I done so far? Like, put this like in corner to be like a bit more safe. I think I'm actually done. I don't really see any things that I should be pulling at. I don't know, like up there, I'm kind of like worried there's like a blood spatter up there. You can like get it from here somehow. Nope. Eh. So, sniffer. Let's do the sniffer. Come on. I'm gonna need sound for this. Hold on. Oh. Oh, look at that. I think that was it. Yeah, okay. I think we're done on like blood. Like it's like the same flat tone everywhere, so basically just need to like go place this and incinerate the light, and then I'm actually done, I think. Just like close this. And here comes like the most annoying thing about the game's completion ratio. It will have a questionnaire for you. I think we're done. There's like no... Oh wait, there's like the... This is like the trash detector. Let's see. Wait, where was it? Wait, it's this? But this isn't supposed to trigger. This is like my box, I guess. This isn't supposed to trigger on its own. That's weird. Let me try it again. Yep. So basically anything you put in your chest, it gets transported back to like the main hub area, and it shouldn't count against the the completion ratio. Anyway, I think we're done. Let me just... Let's see. Do not put gum on or around the device. Punchomatic. Has your janitorial work here met the requirements of the company as well as your own high personal standards? I mean, I don't actually know. Let's see. Cleansing of the facility. Objectives. Notes. No notes. Okay. No, I'm not done yet. I was just checking the machine. I'm proud of my performance and certain it will meet approval. Let's see. Did it? Exceptional! Hey! Wait, I think you get like a percentage. After gazing at the hideous mess before you chuckled to yourself and set to work. Whistling crudely, you breezed through the facility's many problems. Stacking objects to the course of your big banger, which I actually burned. The work was quite quickly done, and what a fine job it was. You made your way past some of your yet unaware colleagues. You congratulated yourself and waited for the company's official inspection report with bated breath. Okay, and? Oh, was this it? Performance 106%. Time taken 55 minutes. Okay, we got like everything, I guess. Cool. Nice. Award-winning dumbass. God. Okay. 106% completion. That's not too bad. I hadn't actually like finished this. So it's like basically the hub area. And like I remember when I said like everything you put in here would kind of like carry on across levels. Oh shit. Uh-oh. That was like viral or something. Probably dead. Dear employee, your exceptional performance has been noted. As I understand it, the inspector was most pleased. Okay. Let me show you what the big banger does. Wait, why is it not doing it? Like it's supposed to like start like shaking around and kind of like moving across the level when you like turn it up. Yeah, I don't know why it's not doing it. This is like basically the game's soundtrack, more or less. There's even like an option to have it like hear the music constantly. But it's like very distracting, especially when you're trying to do... There goes like the global radio. The banger cannot be stopped. Run before your ears explode, basically. So we've been up for like almost 2 hours, but I really don't see myself going anymore with this. This is not one of those games that you can play in the long term. And I think the level that we just did was like the only kind of like 45-minute one. The rest are at least an hour long, if not more. So I wouldn't be able to kind of like keep playing, like do one more level. Wait, did it keep my score? Hey, there we go. Best performance 106. That's kind of nice. Like you can see I kind of like put some effort in like the first 4 levels, and then I kind of like got bored. I did like the Unrefinery, Caduceus. I think the last time I played, I was doing. Let's see, what was it? When I say, because there's like a place with like a bunch of crystals. I don't remember what it was. It might have been like Evil Science, or it might have been this like Rust Station East. But yeah, I don't really see myself playing a lot more of this tonight. And to be honest, I'm just like doing this for the, for the challenge and the challenge only. So it's like a speedrun mode. Replace the traditional and more complex office system with instant feedback and a cleanup timer display. For those who like instant gratification and cleanup trials rather than the grim reality of a space janitor's drudgery. Can't say like this is not grim or anything. But yeah, I think this is gonna be it for tonight. A bit like an early finish. I might try streaming a little bit over the weekend if I can kind of like get like the time for it, because there's like a few things we need to make happen during the weekend. So let me just like go here. Hi. Trying to see if there's like anyone online at the moment we could go say hi to. I mean, hey, like Raven is online, so let's go say hi to Raven. Let's see. She's doing Elden Ring. Ooh, interesting. So let's go say hi to Raven. And I'll be around either on Sunday or during the like Tuesday, I guess. So yeah, until then, have a lovely rest of the evening. Let's go say hi to Blue Moon Raven. I hope you, I don't know, enjoyed this, I guess. Kind of. Yeah, okay. Let's go say hi to Raven, and I'll see you around soon. Until then, bye-bye.
Well, I got to